Hey everyone, there it is, the Hall of Mirrors effect. And you know what that means? It's time for another Let Us Play. I think that's what I've decided to call these videos that I'm doing. And today, I just made this decision like 2 seconds ago. Not that. That's something else. I decided that we're going to play Captain Comic. What, Jesus Christ, the music is a little loud in my ears. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys on the stream. Sorry, it's not a stream. This is a recording, not live. Anyway, Captain Comic. Let's see what it says here in my handy Launchbox database. By Michael Denio. So it's made by one person. It's an MS-DOS game released in 1988. Let's see what the little blurb here says. The Adventures of Captain Comic, or just Captain Comic, is a classic 1988 MS-DOS platform game which is known for being one of the first side-scrolling games made for IBM PC. It was developed entirely by Michael Denio. The PC version of the game was distributed as shareware. There's an NES version, unlicensed. That's cool. An unofficial conversion for the Sam Coupe also exists. I have no idea what that is. It was also cloned as The Adventures of Pioneer Cassinia in 1990 by a team of Ukrainian programmers. Damn, I'd like to see that. Alright, I have the good old Wikipedia page here. Let's see what this is all about. But I should mention, the reason I decided to play this game was because I have a personal, a very strong personal connection with this game. Oh man, look how he's bending his legs in this. Yeah, it's an interesting pose. I have a strong personal connection with this game. This game is one of very few that were on the computers at a preschool that I went to in the early 90s. They had a couple computers. I guess it must have been a few years old, but pretty state of the art for a preschool back then. And I was 4 or 5 playing this game, Captain Comic, and I don't know, I'm sure you've had this experience when you play a game at a young age like that. It sort of takes on a very mythic quality, especially a game like this. It's a big game, lots of secrets, and it feels much more big and mysterious to somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing because they've only been alive for 4 years than it would to somebody who's, 30, like I am right now. Anyway, back to the Wikipedia page. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. We're looking for 3 artifacts. Mystical gems. Crown of Ages. So this is interesting. So this is what Michael Denio wrote. It was started as an experiment to test the viability of 2 theories. The first as to whether a real arcade-type game can be done on a standard IBM PC with an EGA card. And second, given the first can be done, is it possible to make any money doing it? That was kind of an obsession at the time. It's, if you know the id Games Commander Keen, which I think came out after this one. Let's see. Yeah, Commander Keen came out in 1990. So, that was kind of an obsession. Because, at the time, the NES was huge in America in 1988. That was maybe like the peak of its popularity. And side-scrolling platformers were huge all of a sudden. And PCs were not great at scrolling. So it was difficult to make a side-scrolling platformer like Mario. But everybody who owned a PC but who didn't own a Nintendo wanted to play one of those games. And so there were a lot of attempts to perfect it. It was sort of the birth of the Western platformer, which became sort of an awkward genre in the 80s and 90s, in Britain and in the US. A lot of companies that are now famous Western companies, got their start making awkward 2D platformers for PCs. Anyway, let's get in here and just play the game. So, Episode 1, Planet of Death. Entering orbit around the planet Tambi, Captain Comic, Galactic Hero, prepares for his blah 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 blah, I don't care. These are all the items you can get. I'm sorry to skip this story, I'm just an impatient person. These are all the items you can get. It's a Metroidvania, actually. It's a Metroidvania game. And I wonder how well I'll be able to remember any of this game. I definitely remember parts of it. This soda that you get with a fireball on it lets me fire fireballs. And I know because I just tested this out a little bit earlier, and this is going to be very awkward, the fire button is insert, and the jump button is spacebar, so I have to have my hand contorted in a very, very strange way to play this game. But we're just going to have to deal with it. So yeah, I was talking about PCs were not great at scrolling. You can see that the scrolling is not smooth. It's tile by tile, which takes some getting used to, but it's actually not so bad. At least as a 4-year-old, I was definitely able to cope with it. Never really thought about it. Yeah, so I remember this first area of the game is mostly going straight, dodging some birds, and jumping over some pits. We're not really going to see any of the branching paths for a little bit, but yeah, what's with the red birds? Why are they different from the blue birds? I vaguely remember there being a difference, but I don't remember what it is. We're not going to see any of the branching paths just yet, although I think there is like a door we can go into that leads to something that I never figured out as a kid. We got some health back. Nice. You know, the gameplay feels kind of good. I mean, it's awkward. It's not like playing Mario, but it feels okay. You can also see like the character's jump pose is very inspired by Mario. Right, the character's sprite animation, it seems like every frame is maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if he just looked at Super Mario Brothers and just kind of like, you know, did his sprites expressly based on the Super Mario Brother animations. Like, look how he holds his hand up when he jumps. Very Mario-esque. Die, bird. Scum. I hate birds. Oh, fuck these guys. Maybe the red birds, like, stay lower and are more of a threat because of that. I don't know. You know, I have a pretty good memory of this game considering that I haven't played it too much since I was like 5. Oh, Jesus, get away from me. I'm just gonna hide out in my little nook until the birds leave me alone. Die. Oh, you little shithead. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Got Alright. Okay, let's see what's up on this platform here. So yeah, this is a Metroidvania. We got a key. Maybe the key opens this door. I don't remember this part. How does one open a door in this game? Insert, backspace, delete. I'm just going to name all the keys on the keyboard as I hit them. Enter. God, I'm going to get murdered by birds as I try to open this door. See, the thing is, I remember being able to go in this door early on in the game, but my memory could be a little bit blurry and I could be getting it mixed up with something else. But there's also a very good chance that I'm just not pressing the right button. You know, I could look at the manual. I'm sure there's a PDF on the internet somewhere, but that is for suckers. So I'm just gonna fumble around like an idiot. Z, X, C, V, M, N, N, Alt, Control, Alt, up, up, down, 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 Z, A, blah, blah, blah. I'm pressing all the alphabet keys. I'm afraid to press the F keys, but let's try it. F1, F2, F3, F5, print screen, insert, delete. You know, I'm playing on the laptop, so I don't have home or end. I think I have to press the function key and then some other keys. But yeah, it doesn't seem like I can go in this door, and I'm about to die, so I'm just going to run away. So yeah, we played this game at my preschool. Maybe this is the door I was thinking of. Who can say? Can we go this way? No. No, see, I do remember going in that door. There's like a weird laboratory in there or something, and now I can't remember how to open this door. You know what, folks? I hate to say it. Oh, wait. What was it? It was Alt. Okay. Alt. I'm pretty sure I pressed Alt, but I'm going to go test out this other door. Yeah, so we played this game, you know, during... Yeah, it was Alt. I was just not pressing the right button. Silly me. I'm probably going to die here because there are these scary sparks following me. Yeah, we played this game in preschool. Oh, fuck off, sparks. And Yeah, so you can see there's a little bit of Metroidvania style keeping an object just out of your reach. You can see I lost a life down at the bottom of the screen there. Hopefully we don't lose all of them. You know, I can see there's a lantern there, but I can't reach it. Maybe if I had some sort of like jumping boot or some sort of item that would let me hover, I could get up there, but I don't have that, so I have to come back later. Let me out. Yeah, you know, and a Metroidvania game like this, like, oh, okay, so, you know, that's kind of an interesting moment, you know, just from a game design standpoint. Oh, there's something here that I might have to remember and come back for. But you can imagine when you have a group of, oh yeah, so we get the second can, now we can shoot 2 fireballs at once. I think that's how it works. I don't remember. I like the background here, though. It's a nice effect. I think we're supposed to go left. My memory is telling me we're supposed to go left, but I'm going to go right just to see what's over here. Yeah, so, you know, a moment like that where you see an item that you can't get. Kind of an interesting moment. But when you're like 5 and when you're in a social setting where everybody has tried to play this game, everybody's an idiot, nobody really understands the conventions of video games, and nobody has ever gotten that lantern, right? Because we probably all mostly died in like the first couple screens of the game, and anybody who got even this far in the game, you know, maybe there was one person watching them and, oh fuck, the bee. And, you know, those 2 people were the only people who had ever seen this part of the game, so it became like a very good way of generating these sort of like myths that we would tell each other. And, you know, I don't know if anybody ever got the lantern, but just the fact that it was there and you could see it, you'd be like, ah, kid, I heard a kid like 2 years ago, he got to the lantern. And, yeah, one of the myths that we had about this game was that there was a place called Watermelon Land. That's all we really knew about it, was that there was a place in the game, somewhere deep into the game, yeah, and only one kid had ever gotten there. We might need another item for this part. We're down to our last life. I better be careful. This place called Watermelon Land. Nobody ever knew what Watermelon Land was or what it looked like. All we had was the name. And yeah, my brain created a lot of interpretations of what Watermelon Land might be. And I still have a very vivid picture in my mind of Watermelon Land, this place that may or may not actually even exist at the end of this game. And I remember what it looked like. In my head, it was space. It was a black background, stars, and then the ground was green. There were little vines growing across the ground. And then there were watermelons growing out of the ground, of course. But there was also places where the ground was split open and there would be very bright watermelon-like flesh dripping like blood out of the ground. And the enemies were all green and dripping blood also. And I'm not sure why I imagined it like that, but in my mind, that's Watermelon Land. And I don't think I ever... Oh, shit, I died. Well, we're going to have to start over from the beginning, folks. I'm sorry. That's how it works. When there's a high score screen, who really cares about that? I mean, why would you care? And the game just quits. That's nice. So, yeah, a real arcade type game. That's, you know, that's one of the things reading these old interviews. Up until like about the 80s, action games were just called arcade games, especially by people who played PC games. You know, the term action game, I guess, didn't exist until for a few years. So, yeah, people, when they talk about arcade games, a lot of the time, they just mean action games. It really shows you how much of a divide there was back then between the arcades and PCs, you know, and I think the NES and the Famicom kind of started to narrow that divide by having sort of like games that combined elements of arcade action games with sort of the more like RPG or adventure, you know, elements of PC games. But the idea that PC games just by nature could be more complex, but also couldn't be quite as fast-paced as games on arcades survived for a long time. So I was talking about Watermelon Land, and I was talking about arcade games and preschool. I have this memory of this dream. No, it's not a dream. It feels like a dream, but a memory of something that happened in preschool. It's extremely vivid to me at the same preschool. We had recess in the backyard. The backyard was had some sort of cheap plastic, like playground equipment in it, and one of them was like a tube, like a very small tube, kind of like what you might see at a McDonald's play area or something, but like very, very short, truncated. And, I was out there during recess, and I think we were playing hide and seek. This must have been when I was like slightly older. I think I went there for 2 years, so this might be when I was one of the older kids. And we were playing hide and seek, and I hid inside that tube, and I thought, God damn, I'm doing such a good job hiding here. And, I was just hiding there forever, and I was great. I needed to get the key. See? Metroidvania. That's a pretty good, design thing right there. Teaches you that you have to be on the lookout for items, and that you might not be able to progress in the game until you get certain items. It feels basic now, but back then I don't think you necessarily were able to take that sort of design choice for granted, that sort of tutorialization built into level design. So, this game, it's a well-made game. Probably not a classic, but well-made. So I was hiding out in this tube, and I thought I was doing such a good job, nobody could find me. And then I was there for so long that I sort of started to get nervous. Like, this is a little bit too long. What's going on? But I stayed there because I don't know why I stayed there. I just wanted to stay there. I couldn't hear anybody else outside. I didn't know what had happened to the game of hide and seek, but there I was. And I remember, this was out in the backyard, and the tube was this sort of cheap plastic, and you could see the sunlight illuminating it from the inside. And then all of a sudden I heard these voices, and then these little shadows of tiny handprints all over the tube, just like sprouting up everywhere, these little handprints, And it was the younger kids. Their recess had started, and all my friends had gone inside, maybe, 10 minutes before, and I was just hiding out there by myself for who knows how long. And I walked out of the tube, and it was a very shameful, embarrassing moment. All these kids were very shocked to see someone like me, an older kid, just come out of the tube for no reason. And I walked inside, and it was embarrassing. And it's a very potent memory for me for some reason. Oh, God. I'm having all these memories now, playing Captain Comic. It's one of the beautiful things about video games. They can be video games themselves can provide very vivid memories for you, but they can also be connected to a time in your life. Oh, shit. I'm doing a bad job here, I think I was able to pretty consistently get past this point when I was single digits, aged in the single digits. So, now that I'm aged in the double digits, I should rightly be better than I was back then, but I'm worse. I'm a worse person than I was when I was 5. These little bugs here, there's another sort of confusing thing, something I was confused about. This game is already vaguely Mario-based, right? And one of the other games that I played a lot when I was that age was Mario Land for the Game Boy. And if you've played that game, you might see these enemies. There's some enemies in that game that look almost exactly like the enemies in this game. Let me see if I can just pull that up. Oh god, I'm dying in the background, I think. That's fine. Mario Land fly enemy. That's right, the fighter flies. Yeah, the artwork makes them look cute, but the actual sprite looks a lot like, the way it jumps looks a lot like the enemies that you fight in this game. And so I was confused, this game already felt like Mario, and I thought like they were the same enemies. It didn't really occur to me that like it was possible that it was just a coincidence. I thought like maybe this is a thing that's just in video games. Maybe that's just like an archetype or something I should know about, just something that's in the world that people know about, that's in all video games. Maybe all video games are related to each other, take place in the same universe, Really, it's kind of interesting what your brain comes up with when it doesn't really have a grasp on the logic behind things yet. The other thing I remember, for some reason, talking about that story, hide and seek story, maybe this was a pattern. Oh yeah, so I'm in space now, and I'm jumping higher than, I remember this is like the moon. This is a cool level. I mean, you're in the moon, and you have these cactuses on the moon. It's pretty imaginative, and I like the color scheme here. The gray in the background, and then the greens, and I guess the enemies here are just rocks, just inanimate objects. Yeah, another hide and seek story, and I'm sorry if this is becoming story time hour, but it's just, I decided when I started this that I was just going to ramble, and it was going to be okay if I rambled and, just let myself go and just see how it turns out. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I remember I had a similar experience where I was playing hide and seek with one other person who was at my house for a play date, or at my apartment, and I went and I hid behind this cupboard, and, I was hidden sort of wedged between the cupboard and a wall. It was a pretty good hiding space, but not the best hiding space. But then I realized that while I was back there, and I was back there for a pretty long time again, that I could go not just between the side of the cupboard and the wall, but I could actually slide myself gradually behind the cupboard itself. And that was a very good hiding spot. So I wasn't just, the cupboard itself was, it didn't look obviously like somebody would be able to fit themselves behind it. So it's interesting here, you have to make these sort of leaps of faith to get to the next platforms. I don't mind it though. You can't see the next platform before you jump in these areas. And my friend was looking for me, and he came and he checked behind in my original hiding space, the place between the cabinet and the wall, and he wasn't there, and he left, and I felt very clever. Then he must have been searching all over the apartment, and he came back and checked the hiding space again, and I could see him checking it. I could hear him that he was there, but I didn't give myself away. And I stayed back there until the game clearly wasn't fun for this kid anymore. I just wasn't there. He was having a play date with me, and then I was just gone. But something just made me want to stay back there, some sort of compulsion. And I knew that we weren't having fun anymore, but there was something that just made me want to stay and just made me not want to come out. I think it was a very similar experience to, oh nice, we got some gems. I'm not sure what that did. I think it gave me an extra life though, but maybe it does something else too. I can't remember. Yeah, something just made me want to stay back there. It's hard to explain. I like this, the cactuses getting taller and taller on the flanks of this door here. That's a nice touch. Looks like our friend Michael was having some fun with the tile work there. Yeah, I kind of like that Michael left his name down there. Copyright 1988, Michael Denio. That's there during the entire game. So you always know who made this game. He's not humble about it, but I kind of respect that. It's something that Bennett Foddy talks about a lot is don't be shy about putting your name on your game as a developer. Authors aren't shy about putting their names on books, so if you made a game by yourself, put your name on it. Let people know, call it Bennett Foddy's Getting Over It, or Michael Denio's Captain Comic. I'm just kind of a person by nature who doesn't like to have his name out there, so I don't really go by that, but I kind of get where he's coming from, and I think Michael Denio does too, so that's cool. Well, shit, I died. I think I've talked myself out, and I think that's a good place to stop. But before we go, let's take another look at this Wikipedia page. Or no, you know what? I wanted to take a look at this conversion for the Sam Coupe. What the hell is the Sam Coupe? Is that a computer? Yeah, it's an 8-bit British home computer that was first released in late 1989. It was a clone of the ZX Spectrum. Sorry, the ZX Spectrum. And okay, it was a commercial failure. Interesting, though. It had an active community of homebrew coders. Maybe that's what... Wait, did it say? An unofficial conversion for the Sam Coupe. So maybe that was homebrew. Yeah, I'm kind of interested about the NES version, too, you know. It's an unlicensed NES game. Those are always interesting. Maybe we can find some video of it. You know, this is, one of those games that was probably pretty good in its time, but hasn't really been... Oh, wow, this looks good, actually. Looks like the level design is totally different. It has some music to it. Be interested to play this sometime. That's a nice looking game. I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, you know, it's one of those games that was solid in its time, but maybe has kind of been forgotten. But not by me. I remember you, Captain Comic, and I won't forget your name either, Michael Denio. Yeah, you know, I really also want to see this, The Adventures of Pioneer Ksenia. Oh, the source code was offered on eBay. I wonder if anyone bought it. And if they did they do anything with it? Okay. Brigadi Pionerki Kseni. It's an unofficial standalone total conversion. Oh, okay. Interesting. So, of The Adventures of Captain Comic. So the game mechanics are the same, but... Oh, okay. All graphics and levels had been replaced with images familiar to the Soviet people. Oh, so it's a pioneer girl rather than a man. This game looks pretty interesting. I'd love to play this game, actually, but I'm not going to subject you to me downloading the abandonware and setting it up and running it, but damn, look at this sprite here. And it has Moscow. Okay, it's a completely coincidental likeness of the Moscow Kremlin. This game looks beautiful, actually. We should play this sometime. Look at these sprites. Damn, that's good. You know, but maybe another time. I think I've been talking enough, said a lot of things that aren't interesting or don't make sense. These are some beautiful camels, and, you know, you can just leave it there. There's the good old Hall of Mirrors effect. Let me just make it do that again, because, you know, that looks fucking awesome. And that's it. Goodbye, everybody. Stop recording.